Were you surprised that Khamzat stayed on the feet for so long portions of the fight?
No. You know, the first 2 times I saw him on Fight Island, he used to talk about his stand-up in his team all the time. And I was saying, we haven't seen him stand up and really go toe-to-toe with somebody in a while. You know, I think he had a rough weight cut. He literally walked up to me after the fight and said, I want to move up.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight in this weight class anymore.
How you doing, everybody? We are here live from the Ultimate Fighter Coach's house. UFC 328 has just started, so I will be giving my instant reaction after each and every single fight. Also just starting is the dinner process, because we're going to cook for ourselves. Brady is on potatoes, I will be doing the beans. We have some asparagus, we have some beautiful tomahawks which are also being prepared right now by the one and only Jason Perillo. Main event, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Don't know how that's going to go yet. Rebecca?
All right, folks, listen up. You clicked on this video because you want to know the real reason Khamzat Chimaev lost to Sean Strickland. And after breaking down every single moment of that war, from the Ultimate Fighter house where I was watching live to the octagon itself, I can tell you exactly what Dana White and any true fight analyst would point to. It wasn't just one thing, but a critical breakdown of energy management and fight IQ. Strickland exposed a flaw we hadn't seen before. Get ready, because we're about to dive deep into the strategic blunders, the raw exhaustion, and the sheer grit that truly decided this championship bout.
What do you think? Who wins? Sean or Khamzat?
Khamzat.
Khamzat, oh shit. We got a Khamzat fan. All right, well, we don't know how they're going to play out. As I said, the fights are just starting right now, so stay tuned because they're going to go through them one by one. But let's have a look at this. This is the real masterpiece, not the main event. What we got here, Jay?
We're working on, we're trying to get a little bit of a nice sear on the Tommies.
Get a nice sear on the Tommies. Who wins?
Strickland.
Strickland. Christine?
Strickland.
Strickland,
She
okay.
stands by me. Yeah.
Rebecca says Khamzat.
Well, that's a front runner.
This clip perfectly captures the atmosphere before a massive main event, folks. Everyone's got a take, right? Half the house was leaning Khamzat, the other half Strickland. That's the beauty of this sport. On paper, you never truly know. But what these initial predictions highlight, even jokingly, is the immense pressure and expectation on both fighters, especially Khamzat. He came in as the undefeated phenom, and that's a weight few can carry. Sean Strickland, on the other hand, thrives as the underdog. This dynamic played a far bigger role in the fight's unfolding than many might realize, setting the stage for what would become an unexpected outcome.
Stops him with a jab, then a left hook, then a right hand. Has him wobbled, has him kind of hurt. King Green throws a shot. The referee called it as a low blow. Jeremy Stephens took it as a low blow and took a couple of minutes off because the momentum was building for Bobby King Green. I don't think it was low at all, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, the fight continues, and guess what happens? More of the same. King Green looking smooth, hands low. Man, he looked in his prime. That was one of his best performances in recent years. Shoots a beautiful double leg, gets on top of him, starts cracking away, elbow after elbow. Bit of a Kimura attempt from Jeremy Stephens.
Now, watching Bobby King Green here, you see a masterclass in controlled aggression and fight flow. His ability to stay calm, hands low, talking trash, yet still deliver devastating combos. That's fight IQ in action. And that questionable low blow call, whether intentional or not, it speaks volumes about momentum. A fighter needs to capitalize when they have their opponent hurt, and sometimes those little breaks can reset the entire dynamic. It's a subtle but crucial aspect of fight analysis, a point that echoes later in our main event. Maintaining that pressure, that relentless attack, is vital when your opponent is struggling.
They were dominant rounds, okay? A 10-9 round is a pretty close round, but just someone lands one extra shot, one extra jab, you give them a 10-9. When someone dominates it clearly, that is a 10-8, and then when someone beats the absolute piss out of them from start to finish, that should be a 10-7, okay? And some of those rounds you could argue could have been a 10-7. Anyway, Sean Brady got on the microphone, told everyone on social media, all you people talking shit, doubting me, go yourself.
Yeah,
okay?
everyone online chirping, he's trying to take this fight, he's going to get knocked the fuck out. Go yourself. If you ain't riding with me, social media ain't real.
This segment on Sean Brady's performance is absolutely essential, folks, because it speaks to the core of what wins fights in the UFC and how they're judged. Our man here is breaking down the difference between a 10-9, 10-8, and even a 10-7 round. That level of domination, round after round, isn't just about landing more strikes. It's about control, damage, and nearly finishing the fight. And Brady's post-fight fire, that raw emotion from overcoming doubters, is a powerful motivator. Keep this in mind when we discuss Khamzat's struggle. Sometimes the mental game and the perceived dominance by the judges are as important as the physical exchanges.
Good job of popping up back to his feet, defending the position, but he would get taken down again. And the first round went like that, the second round went like that, and it looked like, oh, here we go, we know what's going to happen. He's going to get controlled, he's going to get stifled. It might look like Khamzat versus Strickland in the main event, but in the third round, Joshua Van starts reading the takedown, starts doing some damage with the hands, starts going 1, 2, 3, ripping to the body, beautiful shots. At one point, defends the takedown, knees him in the head with the other one, starts busting up Tatsuro Taira. It looked like Taira was almost done.
This is where it gets interesting, because even in a completely different fight, the commentator himself draws a parallel to the Khamzat-Strickland matchup. He says it might look like Khamzat versus Strickland. This wasn't just a random comparison, it was an early sign of a perceived pattern. Taira was getting controlled, stifled. While Joshua Van eventually turned the tide with striking, the initial struggle, the difficulty in escaping dominant positions, and the fatigue starting to set in, that's a direct foreshadowing of the main event. It highlights that even top-tier grapplers face huge challenges when their opponent stays composed.
1, 2, rips to the body, knocks Tatsuro back. He starts covering up, lands a few more shots, stumbles him back. He was still on the feet, but the referee steps in, saves him from any more damage. Now, Tatsuro Taira straight away was like protesting the stoppage. It could have gone a little bit longer, but I had no problem with it. It was still going to be the same outcome. There was probably still going to be a finish. Joshua Van looked sensational, got on the microphone, told Alexandre Pantoja to get your shit together, okay, and said if you want to run it back, we can do that. And of course, that is the fight that should happen next. But tonight,
what we see here with Joshua Van's finish is a testament to calculated aggression. He put Taira on skates, saw his opponent covering up, and the referee made the call. While there's always debate around early stoppages, the underlying point is clear. Sustained, damaging pressure is what ends fights. And this is a critical difference between winning a round and dominating it, between fighting to a decision and going for the finish. Strickland learned from this, applying pressure, even if not always for a finish, to break Khamzat down. It's about building an irreversible advantage, something Khamzat couldn't quite do despite his early success.
Trying to choke him out. Sean just stays calm, gets back to his feet, and that was that. Round 2 starts, shoots a takedown, and what does he do? Doesn't have the explosion to push through and accepts going to his back, which is just crazy. If you're a wrestler, you never accept going on your back. And then Sean, of course, controls him for the rest of the round, lands some shots, gets on top. At the end of the second round, it was really not looking good for Khamzat Chimaev. He was in the corner, looking really frustrated, a little bit dejected. Arman Sarukian's in there trying to like big him up and G him.
All right, let's get into the main event itself. Round 1, as expected, Khamzat does what Khamzat does. Gets the takedown, controls. No surprise there. But the crucial observation here is about round 2. Khamzat shoots, doesn't have the explosion to push through, and accepts going to his back. Folks, that's not just a mistake. For a wrestler of Khamzat's caliber, that's almost unthinkable. It's a telltale sign of deeper issues, a lack of explosiveness, perhaps due to a tough weight cut, or an underestimation of Strickland's defensive wrestling. This moment was the crack in the armor, revealing the real reason things started to unravel.
Up and getting ready for the fight. Round 3 just finished. That was all on the feet. Not a single takedown shot. And what does that mean? That means Khamzat Chimaev is tired. He hasn't got the explosion to shoot for a takedown. Now, granted, he might surprise me. He might get a second win. But round 3, it was kind of close on the feet. But mentally, the momentum, it's all in the favour of Sean Strickland. Chimaev is smiling right now. They're going to the middle. They've just touched gloves. It's the start of round 4. Will Khamzat Chimaev shoot? I don't think so. Will Sean Strickland be the champion? Probably, but let's see what happens.
There it is, straight from the commentator's mouth. Khamzat Chimaev is tired. He hasn't got the explosion to shoot for a takedown. This is the direct confirmation of a fundamental flaw. When a fighter known for relentless wrestling can no longer shoot, their entire game plan crumbles. The frustration in his corner, Armin Tsarukyan trying to gee him up, that's not for a fighter who's comfortably in control. Mentally, the momentum had decisively shifted. Khamzat, for all his power and skill, simply couldn't sustain the output needed for 5 rounds against a durable, high-pressure fighter like Strickland.
Sean Strickland just won the middleweight championship of the world. Wow, what an absolute dogfight, back and forth. I'm going to give you my full thoughts in just a second after I watch this interview. Wow. So, the decision's in. Sean Strickland is now the champion of the world again. So let's talk about the fight and let's talk about what happened. Of course, in round 1, Khamzat Chimaev went out there, used the wrestling. We knew that was always going to happen. Sean stayed very calm. He's been taken down. He's got his back taken. What do? You defend the position. You stay calm. And that's exactly what he did. Now, in the second round, this is where I thought that Khamzat was going to quit. But he did get a second win because he shot a takedown.
The outcome is official. Sean Strickland is once again champion of the world. What an incredible moment. But beyond the celebration, the commentator immediately begins dissecting how it happened. He highlights Khamzat's expected round 1 takedown, but crucially, notes Strickland's composure. Sean stayed very calm. You defend the position, you stay calm. This isn't just about surviving, it's about not panicking, conserving energy, and frustrating the dominant grappler. This calm defense, even under immense pressure, laid the groundwork for Strickland's later success, allowing him to weather the early storm and make Khamzat work tirelessly for minimal reward.
And then, in the scramble, in the scruffle, in the sprawl, he forced Khamzat to his back. And as a wrestler, you never want to accept that position. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. He's done. He's exhausted. He's going to give up. And Sean maintained top position throughout all the second round, landing some shots. And at the end of the second round, he was exhausted. There was a lot of confusion. He was being very erratic in the corner. As I said earlier, Armin Tsarukyan had to give him a pep talk and just everyone trying to G him up, right? But to be fair to him, he did show up in the third round. He did dig deep. He did find a second win. However, Sean still won the third round. But he did allow himself to get backed up. What Sean should have done, he was going jabs as always, throwing right hands.
This is the critical turning point, folks. The commentator's observation about Khamzat accepting going to his back is damning for a high-level wrestler. It screams exhaustion, a breakdown in fundamental instinct. Strickland capitalized on this, maintaining top position and landing some shots, further draining Khamzat. The scene in the corner with confusion and Armin Tsarukyan had to give him a pep talk paints a vivid picture of a fighter in crisis. While Khamzat did dig deep in round 3, the damage was done. The energy expended, the mental frustration, it fundamentally compromised his ability to execute his game plan for the rest of the fight.
Khamzat, every time Sean would throw a jab, both arms would come up. I can't do both because I'm holding a camera, but both arms would come up. That reveals the stomach, the belly. It was right there for a jab, right hand to the midsection. Had he have done that, that would have slowed Khamzat down even further. Fourth round, they went out there, they went back and forth, they stood there, they went toe to toe. Khamzat was walking him down most of the time and he was throwing the bigger, more significant shots. But Sean was just doing the same old Sean Strickland routine, throwing the jabs, the 1-2s, digging deep, the occasional teep here and there with power shots coming from Khamzat. So round 4, I gave to Khamzat.
Here, the commentator offers a fascinating tactical critique. Strickland's missed opportunities to exploit Khamzat's defensive tells. Every time Sean would throw a jab, both arms would come up. That reveals the stomach, the belly. Imagine the impact of consistent body shots on an already exhausted Khamzat. This insight suggests that while Strickland won, he could have potentially finished the fight sooner. It underlines Khamzat's defensive vulnerability when fatigued and his predictable reactions. Even without exploiting it fully, Strickland's constant jabs, the 1-2s, were enough to wear Khamzat down, proving that relentless volume can often be as damaging as power shots against a tired opponent.
Very close round. Khamzat walking him down as always, like he did the entire fight apart from the wrestling. There was a couple of takedown attempts. There was a takedown. Sean defended it, got back up really quick, and we were like, oh shit, he's going to turn it around. He's going to walk him down. He's going to try and get the finish. But of course, it's the 5th round. You're absolutely exhausted. Both guys deserve a round of applause. Khamzat Chimaev, he dug deep. That really impressed me. It did, because I thought he was going to quit in the second round. When I say quit, I don't mean just give up. I just meant in turn.
Despite the fatigue and strategic struggles, this clip speaks volumes about Khamzat's heart. He dug deep. That really impressed me. Even as he was walking him down, clearly exhausted, he tried for takedowns and pushed to the final bell. This is where the narrative shifts from tactical shortcomings to sheer willpower. He didn't mentally quit, even if his body was failing. This resilience, while admirable, couldn't overcome the points deficit and the sustained pressure from Strickland. It shows us the warrior spirit, but also the harsh reality that pure grit isn't always enough when the gas tank is running on empty.
Slowly allow Sean to take over the fight because, you know, it looked like that's exactly what was happening, but I was wrong. And he dug deep and he made it to a decision. Of course, Sean landed more shots than Khamzat did. It was something like 133 for Sean and like 96 for Khamzat. But of course, you know, there's difference in punches. A big right hand is different from a jab. Sean landed more. He did get taken down several times, but he did deserve to win that fight. He is the champion of the world. He apologized.
And this is where the numbers don't lie. Sean landed 133 significant strikes to Khamzat's 96. While a big right hand differs from a jab, a significant strike metric often tells the story of who controlled the pace and inflicted more damage. The commentator acknowledges the difference in power, but emphasizes the sheer volume and effectiveness of Strickland's output. Despite being taken down, Strickland's overall activity and defense ultimately swayed the judges. This wasn't a robbery. It was a clear demonstration of who was the more active and effective fighter over 5 rounds, a testament to consistency and fight pace.
And there was a nice show of class afterwards as well. Khamzat Chimaev actually went up and wrapped the belt around him. Again, top marks for that. A big show of class, but more importantly, taking it like a man. He took it like a man, he wrapped the belt around Sean's waist, and then he left the octagon. As he was walking through the crowd, he took his gloves off and threw them away. I don't think he took his gloves off because he was retiring. He took his gloves off and threw them in frustration. Of course, that's the first time he's ever experienced that. This is the first time he's ever felt that. It's the first time ever another human being has stepped in a cage with Khamzat, and he hasn't had his arm raised. Sean Strickland was declared the winner, the champ. He's the guy that beat him. He took the undefeated title from Khamzat Chimaev.
This moment is iconic and speaks volumes about the emotional weight of this loss for Khamzat. Wrapping the belt around Strickland, then taking his gloves off and throwing them. That's pure frustration, not retirement. This was the first time he's ever experienced that. The undefeated aura was shattered, the invincibility complex gone. This emotional fallout underscores the immense pressure Khamzat was under and how deeply this loss cut. It wasn't just a defeat. It was a profound learning experience, forcing him to confront mortality in the octagon for the very first time. This is where champions are truly forged, win or lose.
Did the weight cut affect him? Right? Because the weight cut was big and he was talking about going up. I'm not making excuses for Khamzat Chimaev. He's a middleweight fighter. He shouldn't have allowed himself to get so heavy between training camps. But I think now he's going to go up to light heavyweight, and I think that Sean Strickland will take on all comers, and I think Nasruddin Imavov is probably next.
He literally walked up to me after the fight and said, I want to move up. I don't want to fight in this weight class anymore. You know, him moving up's exciting.
But there it is. UFC 328 is in the bag. What a great night of fights it was. Congrats to Joshua Van. That fight was sensational.
Here's where we get to one of the most speculated, real reasons for Khamzat's performance. The weight cut. The commentator isn't making excuses, but acknowledging the immense challenge of cutting weight, especially for a fighter like Khamzat, who often gets heavy between training camps. His post-fight statement about wanting to move up to light heavyweight is a direct admission. This suggests that the physical toll of making middleweight might have significantly impacted his cardio and explosiveness, leaving him drained against a grinder like Strickland. It's a crucial factor for a fighter whose entire game relies on overwhelming pressure from the first bell.
Sean Strickland pulls it out the bag, gets the job done, got off to a really rough start, but round one was always going to go like that, okay? Thank you for watching. Subscribe and ring the bell. We've got a lot more content coming, and there's going to be a video coming pretty soon because I cannot wait to see Sean Strickland at the post-fight press conference, because you know there might be some wild stuff said. Of course, we're going to find out a bit of clarity on the division, find out who Sean might face next. I don't think there's going to be any talks of a rematch. I don't think Khamzat Chimaev will want a rematch. I'm sure he would like to fight Sean again, but I think he's going to move up to the light heavyweight division. And I'll tell you something else as well. Alex Pereira, because that's who he was calling out next. I don't think Pereira's sitting there worrying about too much. It sounds like I'm ripping on Khamzat. I'm not.
So, what's the final verdict? Sean Strickland pulled it out, But Khamzat also dug deep and impressed with his heart, even if he got off to a really rough start. The commentator here wraps up the core takeaways: Strickland's resilience, Khamzat's early struggles, and the likelihood of a division change. The talk of Khamzat moving to light heavyweight directly addresses the primary issue of his gas tank at middleweight. While no immediate rematch is expected, the clear consensus is that Khamzat's future lies in a division where he isn't fighting the scales as much as his opponent. This fight was a brutal lesson in endurance and strategic depth.